Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on Fireside today. Like Ken said, our topic today is how poor communication can negatively impact your relationships. The holidays are on us, right? Everything's busy. We've got end of the year deadlines coming up. Now is the most important time, though arguably the easiest time, to slip back into poor communication habits. And those can really negatively impact your work and your personal relationships. Teaching at the Black Swan Group, I've found that using these skills in day to day communication is probably more important than using them in high stakes negotiations. And the reason is you get your practice in. But people tend to not want to use the skills. They tend to not listen as deeply when they're around family or coworkers or friends, times that they really need to be listening and paying attention. And so I'm reminded during every live event that we do, you're in a negotiation. Anytime the words I want or I need are in your mind or the mind of your counterpart. And the reason that's important is if all you want is information from, let's say, a family member during a holiday party, you're in a negotiation. If all you want is uh, a bit of information or an order at a restaurant or a coffee shop, you're in a negotiation. The skills will work very, very well for you. Like I said, though, this time of year, we're all under stress. We're all under pressure, different pressures, uh, gift giving and holiday gatherings and travel and work deadlines and end of year stuff and people being out of office. All of the people that you need to get done what you need to get done, they're gone traveling. So it's very easy to fall back into our old ways of asking questions instead of labeling, of demanding answers instead of listening to our counterparts, of falling back into digital communication to try to spur things getting done. The last few minutes in the office, you're sending out a bunch of emails that you want everybody to get first thing in the morning so that you can get things done. And again, you're not really reaching out to your counterpart. You're not really demonstrating tactical empathy. And when you let that kind of poor communication just envelop you here during this high pressure, uh, chaotic time at the end of the year, your relationships can suffer long term. Remember, there's next year, and we need to have good communication throughout to keep those relationships, both work and personal. I keep bringing up personal because at holiday gatherings, it is so difficult in long term relationships, even coworkers and bosses and people we've worked around closely, but it's so difficult to keep your genuine curiosity turned on with people that you know well because you think you know all of the backstory. You think you know all of the foundation for what it is you're talking about. Your communication can really suffer and you'll start treating people close to you. You will start treating coworkers and people that you've had a long-term relationship with worse than you would treat a new acquaintance. Because with a new acquaintance, when you're trying to get to know them, your curiosity is keyed up. Your skills maybe come more naturally than they would with somebody that you're close to. And I have found personally that that causes problems almost immediately, not just in the short term, but in the long term relationship. When you're at a family gathering, when you're at an office party, whatever the situation you find yourself in, remember to stay genuinely curious and keep that curiosity turned on long term. You're not always in the room. You don't always know what these people are going through, what they're saying, what their needs are, what has changed. And you have to keep using the skills all day, every day, so that you can make sure that you're dialed into them and that your relationships stay fresh, that they stay productive, that they stay positive and healthy. We all want to be listened to. So give that to your counterparts, whether they be friends, family, or coworkers. Because if you want reciprocity, if you want to get things done, you have to give first. And that which we give with the Black Swan Group is demonstrated tactical empathy. That which we give is really listening so that our counterparts can feel heard and understood in every situation. And remember, you're in a negotiation. Almost every conversation, somebody has I want or I need in their mind. From the earliest days when we were sitting on Santa Claus's lap, we wanted, we needed something. So just be aware that these skills are applicable throughout your life and work hard to practice them. I've had a couple of coaching clients recently who were convinced that they were good listeners. They One said, I ask questions all the time to check in with them and make sure that everything's going well, that everything is what we need it to be. And I had to explain that asking questions is falling back into your old methods. And a third of the population does not like direct questions. The analysts among us, our brains receive direct questions differently. We think we're getting questioned about our information. So we think you're asking us to show our work. Use the skills every time that you can and know that you're when we fall back into poor communication, when we allow it to be the easy way and try to get something done by trying to shortcut with questions or listening on those lower levels where we're just listening to get the gist of what somebody's saying and then going into our own heads and talking to ourselves, or when we're listening to rebut, which a lot of us do. I fall into it. You listen just long enough to your counterpart until you get to a point where you're like, I've got something to rebut that. I've got something to argue with now. And so you do. Stay up in your higher levels of learning, at least level 3, where you're looking for the internal logic of what it is your counterpart's saying. Why does it make sense to them, what they're saying? Remember that attacks happen during the holidays, probably more so because everybody's under the same kind of pressure you are. And attacks come from 3 places. People are under pressure, great pressure on their side, perhaps. People are trying to manipulate you because it's worked for them in the past, or they don't feel heard and understood. And here's where the Black Swan skills really shine, because they will help you through all 3 motivations. They will help you keep that communication or grow that communication and diffuse that attack and get yourself into a collaborative negotiation where you're both trying to solve the problem. And remember, the problem isn't your counterpart. It's the problem. So that's what you need to work together to solve.